So what is up guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. So I've actually had a load of requests sent in asking for this video to be done. So let's pretty much just cut the chit chat and get straight to the topic. Before we get into this video, I just want to make a quick shout out to Strong Sports Nutrition. They've just brought out a new supplement which I have here with me. So here it is, the new Glyco Max. Now I'm going to do a separate video talking a little bit more about this supplement, what it is, what it does, and also my opinion on it. I'm also going to include the other supplements, StimuMax, VasiMax and Support Max. So I'm going to give you an overall review and talk about those supplements. So if you guys want to find out about that video and these supplements, all you have to do is click that subscribe button. Also turn the notification bell on. That way you'll always be notified when that video comes up. So make sure you go do that now. And without further ado, let's get into this video. This video today, I'm going to talk about my 5 tips on why your arms are not growing and also how to grow your arms. So let's get to it. So tip number 1 guys, before we even enter the gym and start training our arms, we need to go right back to the beginning. And we need to first of all learn about our arms. So we have to understand the muscles that we have in our biceps and triceps before we even start anything. When it comes to our triceps, we have to understand that there is 3 muscles that make up our triceps. Tri equaling 3. Now a lot of people make this common mistake, and I've made this myself, and we've always believed that this muscle here on the front is the long head of the muscle because it looks like it's the longest. This is also known as the horseshoe. However, it's not the long head of the tricep, it's actually the lateral head of the tricep. The long head muscle of the tricep is this muscle underneath. Now the long head muscle is actually the hardest part of the muscle to train when it comes to tricep. The lateral head is a more easier muscle to train when it comes to triceps. Now there's also a third muscle which is the medial head, which is a very small muscle in between the lateral and the long head of the muscle. They're around about there somewhere. So first of all we have to understand the 3 heads in the triceps and which muscle is which. When it comes to the biceps, we have to understand that there is 2 muscles within the biceps. Bi equaling 2, which is the short head and the long head. The long head is this muscle just up here, and the short head is this one here. So the long head is also known as the peak of the muscle. Also, there is actually another muscle within our arms which is called the brachialis. Now the brachialis is located just in between the tricep and the biceps, just around here. So before we even think about the training principles of how to grow our arms, we have to understand the muscles that are within our arms before anything else. If we don't know the muscles that are there and what muscles that we need to be working or how many muscles there are within our arms, how do we know what exercises that we need to do and how many variations we need to do as well when it comes to training these arms to making sure we target every single muscle? Alright guys, so moving on to tip number 2. We now need to learn how we're actually going to contract and activate the muscles to stimulate maximum growth. Now doing this, we're going to need mind to muscle connection. If you're not activating the muscles, or if you're not getting that connection with the muscles that you're trying to target, you're not going to stimulate maximum growth. You need to be able to break them down by using mind to muscle connection and actually contracting the arms. So by doing this, you're going to want to use a lot more slower tempo. So instead of just going into the gym and putting a load of weight on there and just trying to lift as much as you can, reduce the weight by at least 15 to 20% of what you're already doing and try and use a slower tempo. I would say anywhere with like a 5-second on the positive and a 5-second on the negative. Now that is what's going to help you get that mind and muscle connection. Once you do that, that is what's going to put as much metabolic stress onto your biceps. It's going to break them down and it's going to equal better growth. Okay, so tip number 3, ROM, also known as range of motion. So many people go into the gym and they don't use their full range of motion to their advantage. We want to make sure that we're actually stretching out the long head of the muscle and also contracting at the shortest head. So that is using the full range of motion. Now you'll see so many times when I go into the gym, I'll turn around so you guys can see, where people are just in there and they're doing this. Now first of all, you're not using the full range of motion, and also you're using more your rotator cuff and your delts than you are actually your biceps. For a full range of motion, when you start up here, you want to come and extend the arms, and also you want to lock out your triceps. Now once you lock out your triceps, that's when you know you've got the full range of motion and you're putting as much maximum stress onto the long head of the bicep. So you come all the way down to the bottom, and then you're going to do the same when you come all the way up. You're going to squeeze and get the shortest range of the bicep. When it comes to working the full range of motion, you have to work the full range of motion of that muscle. Now it doesn't mean you have to work the maximum range of motion, so it doesn't mean you have to start all the way here and come all the way up here, because okay, that is the maximum range of motion, but that is not the full range of motion of the bicep. You want it to be down here, and when you come up, squeeze, and that's it. Now that means that the only joint that's moving is your elbow joint, and the only muscle that's contracting is your bicep. So it's a little bit easier when it comes to the tricep. You want to start up obviously at the top, and then when you come down, you squeeze at the bottom. So when you're contracting the short head of the tricep, you're now stretching out the long head of the bicep. Now in reverse, when you contract the short part of the bicep, you're now stretching out the long part of the tricep. So tip number 4, guys, is frequency. When I go into the gym, I see so many people training their arms, and they're in there for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. We have to remember the arm is a very, very small muscle group. Even though there's 5 muscles that completely make up our arms, they're still very small muscles. So we don't need to do a great deal of work when it comes to breaking them down and fatiguing the muscles. What I like to do is use both low volume and high volume when it comes to training my arms. So one day in a week, what I'll do is I'll go into my workouts and I'll use something like the 5 sets of 5 on both biceps and triceps. Then on my second workout, I'll use a little bit more volume. So I'll drop my weight for about 15 to 20% of what I'll do on my low volume days, and I'll use a little bit more of like supersets, drop sets, and a bit more volume with like 15 to 20 repetitions. So I'm using different frequency. This is going to shock the muscles, and that way I know that I'm going to make sure I'm hitting everything with both low volume and high volume. So the last and most important tip, even though the other tips I just told you are still just as important to make sure that we get maximum growth in our arms, we need to make sure that we make number 5 our priority. Otherwise, all of the above are just not going to work. So tip number 5 is sleep, rest, nutrition and recovery. We need to make sure that we get enough nutrition every single day, especially after we've trained, to repair and recover those broken down muscles. We need to also make sure that we get an adequate amount of sleep every single night. So this is where we're going to get maximum recovery and growth and feel more energetic and less fatigued the next training session. Also need to make sure that we apply rest days within our training program. So many people believe that you have to be training 7 days a week to make better gains. Rest is the most important part, so make sure you apply rest days within your training program. Whether that be 1 rest day a week, 2 or even 3, that depends on the individual and their goal. But make sure that you apply rest days into your training program. And lastly, hydration. We need to make sure that we get a quality amount of water every single day, especially after our training sessions, to rehydrate our body. This is going to help us with fatigue, it's going to make us feel more energetic, and it's also going to get better muscle contractions. So get those in place and all the other tips, and that is what's going to help equal better growth in your arms. So that's it, my 5 tips, guys, on how to grow your arms. If you enjoyed this video and it helped you out, give it a big thumbs up for me. Also drop a comment down below. Share it with your friends or anybody you think will benefit from this video. And also, if you want to find out about that supplement review from Strong Sports Nutrition, click that subscribe button and also turn the notification bell on. Other than that, I'll see you on the next video. Stay safe as always and make it happen. Peace.
Keep chasing shadows, they're always haunting me, but